Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. I'm MC and it's time to talk about what I read in the month of May. This month I managed to read 8 books, which seems to be a trend around here. I guess that is what is a comfortable amount of books for me to read in a month. So let's get into them. We had quite a variety this time, I think. Well, a little more variety. I'm looking at my list and realizing it's not that much variety. There's still a lot of my usual suspects around here. So at the beginning of the month, I started out by reading 2 suspense novels, and the first is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I read this for a book club and I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, my experience with this, I don't feel like I can give a really comprehensive review of the book because I actually knew how it ended before it started. I think quite a while ago I had seen some people talking about this book and some people loved it and some people hated it, and so I saw some spoilers of how it ended, and so I knew what was going to happen, which honestly is fine with me. I'm not someone that minds spoilers that much. I still feel like I can go on the adventure, the journey, and still have a really great time. So it didn't bother me that I knew what was happening, but I don't feel like I can really give a good synopsis of what my feelings were like while reading this book. I gave it 3 stars because I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I listened to the audiobook and I did have a good time while I was listening, but I didn't really love the ending. It just kind of felt a little bit flat for me. It was believable and made sense, but I kind of wished there was a little bit more, something a little bit punchier at the end. I just realized I didn't even tell you what this book is about. It is about a young woman that is recently unemployed and recently out of a relationship and is looking for something to pay the bills, a place to live, all that kind of stuff. And she finds a listing for this beautiful historic building in New York City that is looking for someone to stay, kind of like an apartment sitter, and stay in the apartment for an extended period of time and just kind of keep an eye on things. So she moves into the building. It is her dream to live in this building and she feels super lucky to be there, but then she notices some weird things happening. Someone that she befriends in the building suddenly disappears and she starts digging. Next, I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and I also read this for a book club. And this is about a husband and wife who are both incredibly unhappy in their marriage. They are heading off to a weekend away, and they basically believe that if this weekend away doesn't solve all the problems in their marriage, they're both prepared to not return home with the other person. So it's very high stakes for this weekend, and they arrive and things seem a little bit off when they get there for their trip. I gave this 4 stars and I really liked it. I thought the way that it was presented was very interesting. It's told in multiple points of view, and also there are some letters in there as well, and I thought it was really cool. I definitely did not see the main twist coming, which was really cool and very fun. I really liked the way that the twist was done, and I don't really love the way that the book ended. I felt like it could have been a little bit better, but the journey was really fun to get there. Next up, I read something that is not like me, and I read Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. And I have heard so many good things about this book. Everyone says that it is amazing and that they love it. And everyone says that it is told from the story of an octopus. And I am here to tell you that that is not true. People need to stop saying that because it's not told from the point of view of an octopus. There are some chapters, a couple of chapters, in which you get the point of view of an octopus, but the majority of the story is about a couple of humans. So stop saying that, everyone. Please just stop saying that because it makes it sound like a different book than it actually is. But it does tell the story of an octopus, and it is about an octopus that is in an aquarium and some people that are crossing paths with this octopus and searching for something more in their lives. This is basically, okay, obviously the octopus narrating a couple of chapters adds a little bit of, I don't know, magical realism maybe to the book, but it's generally a literary fiction novel, and that's not something I normally read. I don't really like slice of life stories that are just about people living in our world today. So for a lot of the book, I was thinking, okay, yes, this is a well-written story. It is very well told, and I understand why people like it, but I'm not super into it. And then the way that it ended was perfect. Just absolutely perfect. I don't think it could or should have ended in any other way. I gave this 4 stars because, like I said, for a lot of the book, I wasn't super into it. I was recognizing that it was a good book, but it wasn't really my thing. But, oh, the way it ended, it was really, really well done. And if you do like literary fiction, I do highly recommend this book. I think it was really, really enjoyable. And I also highly recommend the audiobook. It was really, really well done. Next up, I read Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. And this was a short novella about someone who is kind of a magical detective, in a sense. I think it took place around the 1940s. It is a sapphic romance, and it was good. I gave it 3 stars. I enjoyed myself the whole time that I was reading it, but I think that this would have been a really good novel. It was about, I want to say, like somewhere between 150 to 200 pages, but I think it could have been a really nice, like maybe 350 to 400 page novel. There was just a little bit missing to build out the world. It was a really cool world, like from the little snippets that you would get of information about how this magical system worked. It was really cool, but then there was not enough information. You were kind of left wondering, I don't really understand how this works and what's the history behind this. So I think if it had been a standalone novel, it could have been really, really good. And I would love to read more about this world. It was very, very interesting, but it left a little bit to be desired. I definitely think it could have been built out a bit more. Next up is a book that I don't really know how to classify, and that is The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay. This book is about a boy who believes that his best friend is a vampire, and he has written a memoir. Basically what you're reading is the memoir of our main character, and the best friend at some point in the future is now reading this memoir and making comments on it. So I 100%, if you are going to read this book, recommend reading the physical copy, because there are actually little like side notes, things where the best friend has crossed stuff out, made little comments, put asterisks and like handwritten notes in the margins, and it definitely adds to the experience of reading the book. So it was really fun and interesting to read this story about this kid that thinks his best friend is a vampire, and to get her reactions to finding out this whole time he has thought she was a vampire. So It was funny, it was snarky, it was unfortunately sometimes a little bit boring. There were definitely some very kind of mundane, like, slice of life scenes that were very just like generic day-to-day living life for a couple of chapters. And I was like, okay, when are we gonna get something exciting that will happen? I had a good time. I don't regret reading it. I gave it 3 stars because it was fine. It was interesting, but it's definitely not a favorite, and I find myself already forgetting a lot of details about the book. Next up, I read another novella, and that is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. And this is a novella that was originally written in French and has been translated, and I've heard so many good things about this book. It was written a while ago, I think, let me see. Yeah, it was published in the late 90s, but I think for some reason lately it has been having a resurgence of popularity. And this tells the story of a young girl who is living in basically a bunker. She's living in a group of 40 women who all live in a bunker, and they are guarded by men. And no one can remember how they got there or knows why they are there. They can remember their lives before the bunker, and then something happened and they woke up missing a lot of memories, and they woke up in the bunker. And this one girl was a very small child when this happened, so she has no memory of life beforehand, but she hears stories from the other women. And then one day they are able to escape the bunker, and the story just tells of their adventures, of their exploration of the area, and learning how to live again, how to form a society of their own, how to fend for themselves and feed themselves and clothe themselves and house themselves, and learn how to be free once again. It was good. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I don't know if I maybe went into it with too high of expectations because I've heard people absolutely raving about it. And so I didn't think it really blew me away as much as I was expecting it to, but it was very good. It was a really powerful story. It made me sad because I mean, just the way that these women were living, and not knowing why, not knowing what was going on. It kind of gave me experiment vibes, like the Stanford Prison Experiment. It kind of felt like that to me. That is me reading into it. I have no idea if the book is actually based on something like that, but it kind of felt like the Stanford Prison Experiment, where these guards, you weren't sure if the guards even knew why they were guarding the women. They just followed their orders. So it was interesting. It was a quick read. I do recommend reading it because I think it says a lot about society, about womanhood, about the differences between men and women and how people are viewed in society. I do think it had a lot to say, and I really do think, especially for a quick read, it is worth picking it up. Next up, I read First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston, and this book is another mystery suspense. I have had this on hold at the library for so long. There was something about the title that really stuck out to me, and I just thought it sounded really intriguing. I went into this book knowing absolutely nothing about it. I did not read the synopsis. I saw the cover and I saw the title and I decided I wanted to read it. So my hold finally came in. I think I started, it was something ridiculous. Like, you are 1257th in line for this title. It was ridiculous. It took months. And I enjoyed it. I guess I maybe wish I had read the synopsis beforehand because it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I don't even know how to describe it to you. Let me see what the synopsis says. It's basically about a woman that is living a secret identity and works for a mysterious man and constantly goes undercover for different assignments, but doesn't really know anything about why she is doing what she is doing. It's just her job. And I don't know what I thought this book was about. Like I said, I knew nothing. So I was like almost a little bit disappointed when I started reading it and realized what it was about. But it's fine. I actually managed to get through it pretty quickly, and I have to say I really liked the way that this one ended. I thought it did a fun job of wrapping things up at the end, and I really liked the twist. So even though I might have started out with a little bit of disappointment for this, I ended up really liking it, and I gave it 4 stars. And last but not least, I read The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, and I won't talk about this too much. I gave it 3 stars, but I don't really love to rate nonfiction that much. This is a very scientific deep dive into pain in the body. This was recommended to me because of my chronic pain that I live with, and it basically is discussing research that has been done on trauma throughout life and how it is connected to continuing pain in the body, and basically how our mental state translates into bodily pain. It was a lot of it didn't really apply to me. It was great information. It was interesting to learn, but it wasn't, it was a lot of people that had like been to war and had PTSD and stuff like that. And while that is obviously incredibly important and valuable information, and I'm glad that the research has been done and that people in those situations can be helped, it doesn't apply to me. So it was interesting, and I do feel like I gained a lot of knowledge, but there were no practical applications from the book that I could apply to my life, but that's fine. So yeah, that is it. Those are the 8 books that I read in the month of May. It was a fun month. I am already on a really good roll for the month of June. I started very strong, and I actually have read already in the month of June what's it called? Book Talk. I've read a Book Talk favorite. So I'm excited to share that with you because I tend to not go for those types of things, a romantasy book, and I'm excited to talk to you about that next month. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. But until next time, when we are back for our June reading wrap-up, take care of you, and I will see you later. Bye.